This is Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to the construction portion of our monogrammed burp cloth. First thing I want you to do is hoop your Floriani Perfect Stick. Go ahead and remove the paper. Now I happen to use a stiletto. I find it's easiest to work with. And then I want you to wind a bobbin with water-soluble thread. You don't need to fill the bobbin up. In fact, probably just about a quarter of the bobbin is plenty because the thread is expensive. And once it's on the bobbin, you've got to keep the bobbin in a closed Ziploc bag, and sometimes it even dries out thin. So wind a bobbin, and like I say, probably about a quarter of the bobbin is all you're going to need. Then go ahead and mark your diaper. Now what I did is I fold my diaper in half, and I just place a pin along that fold line so I know where the center is. Then I want you to measure up from the bottom edge of the diaper up 5.5 inches, and then that you're going to go ahead and mark your horizontal. So now you'll have a nice little center point to center on your machine. And make sure you've got your wound bobbin. Go ahead and place that in your machine. Put your diaper on the machine and go ahead and push the button, and we're going to do our basting grid. Now make sure that if you're using a 6-needle machine, that you tell your machine to stop once it sews out the grid. On any of your other machines, of course, it's going to stop automatically after color number 1. Then I want you to go ahead and make sure you've placed your heat and gone on top of your basting before you've basted. Now I want you to go ahead and complete your design. Once it is stitched out, you're going to remove it from the hoop, and you're going to turn it over onto the back, and you're going to take a damp cloth. I like to use a damp sponge, but as you can see, I couldn't find one. So I used a damp washcloth, and I held it against the water-soluble thread and my Perfect Stick stabilizer and dampened it so that the thread would go ahead and dissolve, and it does it very quickly. Now you'll pull away the basting stitches from the front, and as you can see, as I'm pulling them, they come off very easily. Using water-soluble thread, anytime you've got to use some temporary basting, put it in the bobbin. It's always great. Now once you've done that, I want you to cut a strip of your accent fabric that you bought to create your cuff on your burp cloth with, and you're going to cut it the width of your fabric plus 1/2 inch. And you want it to be 3.5 inches wide because we're going to use 1/4 inch seam allowances. Now I want you to place the right side of your fabric to the wrong side of your bib. So neither one is going to look pretty looking at you. You're going to have the wrong side of your accent fabric and the back of your burp cloth. So what you're going to see here is the right side to the wrong side. Now we're going to turn that top edge of our accent fabric under 1/4 inch. Once you've done that, turn your diaper over, your burp cloth over, and you'll see that you've got the right side of the fabric up and the right side of the bib up now. Because after we sew this, we're going to fold it over the edge, enclosing the raw edge of that bib. I'm sorry, the burp cloth. Now I want you to go to your ironing board, and you've pressed under that 1/4 inch, and now I want you to miter those corners so that they'll look clean and pretty on the front. So go ahead and fold in your miters and press those in well, making sure the edge of that fold is going to line up with the edge of your burp cloth. Once you have completed that, I want you to take Applique Wonder. Now I used the 1/2 inch Applique Wonder strips, and I went ahead and cut that right down the center and made me 1/4 inch strips. And what I did is, as you can see, I've ironed that along the 3 edges of my accent fabric. Now what I've done is when I fold this up and press it down, I'm not going to have any moving or slipping when I go to stitch that down to that bib, and it sure makes it a lot easier because there's no moving and slipping and no puckering, and you don't have to use a walking foot because you've got heavy fabric. Now the next thing you'll see here is I have taken the rickrack strip, cut it measure the width of your diaper that you're using for your burp cloth, plus just a little extra so you can fold those raw edges over. So I've folded the 2 raw edges in toward the center of the rickrack, and then I have taken my strip of Applique Wonder and pressed it down, and it is also holding those raw edges folded in. And you can fold them in so neatly so that it just matches the rickrack and you never can see that they're folded in. It's very nice and makes it very clean. Then we're going to peel off that backing paper and iron this down right along that folded edge. So everything's going to be covered. The next thing we're going to do is put it on our machine and stitch it all down. And you can see here on the edge of my picture how neat that looks all folded under. And my bottom corners look good. I pushed them out with a point turner before I stitched everything down. So everything looks nice. And now there you have your monogrammed burp cloth for your new baby. And these are wonderful gifts. And you can just change the border fabric. You don't need to put a Christmas design on, just put a larger monogram. And I'm going to tell you, the mothers love them. So I want to thank you for coming to the construction portion of our class today, and I look forward to seeing you again next month.